How many of you had pasta at lunch? How many had croutons on your Caesar salad? I know what you guys were doing. You guys were working on your before pictures, right? Okay. Okay, good, because the shake's not going to be out for a couple of weeks, right? So you got to work on your before pictures, get those in line, because, you know, about a month later, 2 months later, after you've been on the shake, you're going to have some great after pictures to share, right? Fantastic. So you guys like the taste of the shake? I love the shake. It's so much fun. You know, my topic is not about keto today, so we'll have to do that at another time. But I wanted to share just my story real briefly and just talk a little bit about mindset. It's more about a mindset training about being successful. I see a lot of people in our industry, they, you know, fall by the wayside, or they kind of stop doing what they're supposed to be doing. They stop building. And really what it boils down to is those 6 inches between their ears. That's really what it boils down to, because let's face it, $22 billion industry in the next 3 years, that's a pretty big growth, right? It's like a 40 times growth. So if you're in an industry today that's going to grow 40 times in the next 3 years, raise your hand. It's not CTFO, besides CTFO, besides CBD, right? You're not. So when I talk to people about the business and they're thinking about getting started, or they're, you know, excited, they're just getting going, I say, listen, you know, I know what you're doing, you might like what you're doing, but your industry is probably not going to grow 40 times in the next 3 years, your current career. So carve some time out. Just carve some time out. I don't care if it's an hour a day, 4 hours a day, you know, weekends, whatever it is, carve some time out so you don't miss this window. Does that make sense? Okay, so the market's there, right? The market is there. So just to give you a little bit about my background real quickly, see if we can get these slides going. Oh, here I am. Okay, great. So I started with CTFO about 3.5 years ago or so. And this story is kind of important because of where I'm headed. And I worked it for about 2 months. There's a few people in the room here that joined me back 3.5 years ago. There's one right there, Otis Riggins. And I worked it for about 2 months. And at the time, this was pre-CBD. And they had a couple of products that were, you know, weight loss type products. And I kind of had a keto mindset at the time, and they weren't that keto friendly. But it was a good program. It still, you know, it had a free business platform. And, you know, it had a lot of good things going for it. I worked it for about 2 months. I brought in about 40 people, okay? And then as life would have it, I got distracted and started with another company and built another business for 2 years, 2 full years. Didn't even open up the emails that I was getting from CTFO, didn't really pay attention, and I was doing something else for 2 full years. Now, during that time, this is an important part, I would get those emails every Wednesday, because what? I enrolled 40 people, right? And some of those people were continuing to order and buying products and building their business, and I would get those emails every Wednesday. You've been paid. You've been paid. Now, here's the kicker, though. CTFO didn't even have my credit card on file. I had never made a purchase. On what planet in network marketing does that happen? Right? So for 2.5 years, I got a check every single week from this company, and I had never even bought a product. Where does this happen? It's CTFO, right? So when we talk about this being a free business, now, by the way, I don't recommend you get started that way. Okay, get a product, okay? But again, my focus was elsewhere. My point being is that, you know, this is a business that if you build it, you will get paid every single week like clockwork. Even if you can't afford to make a purchase, you can still make money doing it. Now, obviously, when they came out with CBD, I made my first product purchase. And it wasn't right away. I kind of watched it, right? This was before the Farm Bill was passed. It's a little bit of a gray area. Could have gone either way, right? So some of the skincare products look pretty good. I bought my wife Lisa one of the skincare products. Now I was qualified to get paid on my downline, right? Because you're not qualified to get paid on your whole downline if you don't make a purchase. $47.47, and now I'm paid in depth. My check tripled overnight. So wow, somebody must be buying this CBD stuff, right? So got a little excited, not too excited. Again, it was still early. And you know, it just got to the point where I just couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer. I realized, and you could kind of tell, this industry was moving towards well, certainly marijuana was moving towards legality, right? It's all legal in Canada. They're smoking recreationally in the entire country. In other countries, it's moving in that direction, okay? So, obviously the writing was on the wall. It looked like this was a good place to, move forward with. And I got started, and that was about 10 months ago that I really started building the business. I got back in touch with people like Otis and some of the others that I first originally, teamed up with and started working with them. And then I kept enrolling, And I've enrolled probably around 130 people now total. And the check, it's close to a 6-figure annual income right now in that period of time. So is this an amazing opportunity? Yes. So I just wanted to point out that, it's all about people's timing, right? How many of you would be happy to sign somebody up and then 2.5 years later, they got busy like I did? That'd be okay? That'd be all right. Okay, good. Let's see if we can move this thing forward. Excellent. So it's often been said that the mind is a terrible thing to waste. I like to shorten that. The mind is a terrible thing, right? It tends to go negative on you, right? It tends to go negative. If we're left idle, if we're not busy, if we're not engaging, if we're not out there talking to people, what happens? It tends to go negative. We tend to start thinking, oh, you know what? I think I might have missed this thing. I see CBD everywhere. Maybe I missed it. How many people have ever thought that one? Come on, you can raise your hand. It's okay. You know it's true, right? I thought it. I thought maybe I missed this when I started 10 months ago. Maybe it's too late. But when you understand the size of this market, you realize that there's so much growth ahead. We're just scratching the surface. Most people you bump into today, they still think CBD gets you high, right? So there's this, what I like to call an information or education gap out there. You've got people that think CBD gets you high. You've got people that, hey, I've been looking at CBD for a while now. I think I'd like to try some. And then you got people that say, oh yeah, I love CBD, right? And as that gap closes, there's a fortune to be made. And that's where we fall in. That's where we fall in. We educate. We bring people from here all the way over to here. And if we do it well and we share it with enough people, you can get rich doing it. Not a bad deal. So you got to watch who you spend your time with. This is something I learned early on in this industry. And I think it's very true still today. Your income is going to be an average of the 6 people you spend the most time with. Now, I want you to think about that. I want you to do some math. I want you to think about who those folks are. And I want you to reassess. Are you spending your time with the right kinds of people? There's some people in your life that it's okay to spend a minute with, but not an hour. There's some people in your life that maybe it's okay to visit for an hour, but you don't want to spend a whole day with them. You know what I'm saying by that? The energy that they bring to your life, is it supporting you in where you want to go? Or is it, taking you in another direction that you don't want to go in? So you really have to reassess that. I like hanging out with people that are where I want to be. I spend a lot of time with Mike, right? With Stu, with Michael Kahn, right? That's who I want to spend my time with. They have an income and a success level that I want to be at. So if you're not reaching out and spending time with your successful upline leaders, who are you spending your time with? The Debbie Downers in your life? You gotta change that access, right? They're great people. They're fine to spend a few minutes with, but not a few hours. Does that make sense? Yes. All right, so you gotta reassess that. Daily positive programming. Your mind is gonna tend to go negative. Whatever you do, don't watch the news at the end of the night. Go to bed and dwell on that all night long. Big mistake. I get a lot of inspiration and motivation and positive reinforcement from people in my organization. Tracy Cochran sitting over there. Stand up, Tracy. She came up from Nova Scotia. Every morning she does this incredible positive, mindset thing on Facebook Live for 10 minutes, right? She's phenomenal at it. She's a 3rd grade school teacher. She gets on there, she does that thing, usually before I'm awake, so I catch the replay, right? And I watch it every morning, and it's extremely positive. She's doing that for her group, for people around, whatever. And you can find stuff on YouTube, and you can find inspiration in a lot of different places. But you've got to put that stuff in on a daily basis, or else, you could be going south pretty quick. That makes sense? So are you plugged into the weekly calls? I don't catch, I got to be honest, I don't always catch the Tuesday night call or the Thursday night call or the legacy call live. I'm busy. Sometimes I'm too busy. But I always catch the replay. I always catch the replay. I always want to know what's going on. I try to catch it live, right? But if you're not plugged into those and you're not plugging your people into those, I mean, there's a lot of positivity on there. Michael Kahn hosting that Tuesday night is unbelievable. He does that every week. Or Steve, when he's doing it. Those are incredible calls. And you can get fired up right there, replugged in, recharged, because you need to have that. You know, in the old days, we used to have weekly meetings. You had to come to a hotel every week to get fired up, right? We don't have to do that anymore, do we? Okay. But what stops you from getting started? What keeps you from getting going? Right? What keeps you from going? It's really the eyes of other people. It's what will they think. Right? It's one of the reasons why people won't walk into a vape store to get their CBD. Right? They're afraid their neighbor might see them. It's the same reason why people aren't thumbs upping and liking your posts about CBD, because they're afraid their friends might see them. Right? There's a little bit of noise and confusion in this industry. So, are you in one of those things? How many of you ever had somebody say that to you? Is that one of those things, right? Okay. How does that affect you? How do you let it affect you? Do you let it affect you? Right? I've been doing this for 30 years full time. That stuff doesn't affect me anymore. It just doesn't. But it happens, and it will stop a lot of people. CBD is everywhere. Is it too late? I said that a little earlier. That's a big one. What if everybody were blind less you? What if you were the only one with sight? Who would you be? How much success would you have in our business? Think about that for a second. You're the only one that can see. Would you be 100K? Would you be a Top Gun by now? Right? That's what stops people. It's the eyes of other people. And so you got to sort that out for yourself so that you can move forward. No one else is going to pay your bills, so why let what other people might think about your opportunity stop you from reaching out? Because we all get stopped in our tracks sometimes. You got to get out of your own head. The self-sabotage, you got to watch out for that. What I find is being idle is the worst thing for me. If I'm not reaching out to new people, the doubt starts to creep in. What I teach my group to do, though, and I'm just telling you what works for me and what I think has been working for a lot of people, is I send out the private messages. I love the posts. You guys, the posts are incredible. The memes, all that stuff looks incredible. The graphics. But how many likes do you really get when you do that stuff? Do you get a lot of likes? Usually you get 1 or 2 likes, and it's usually one person's your upline. Right? Am I right? Or somebody's sideline. That's what you get, okay? But we do that over and over again thinking that we're advertising, right? And then what happens? Another doubt creeps in. Oh my God, CBD is everywhere. This CTFO thing is everywhere. It's just a bunch of us putting the same art out, right? It's not real. It's not real. It's manufactured. The real world isn't seeing all these posts. We're all friends. We're all using the same art. Am I right? I teach them to do private messages. Okay, you're going to get a lot more success sending out private messages, reaching out to people. Now, there's a caveat here. You do need to change the name. You don't want to end up in Facebook jail. Right? You have to change the name. The message can be the same, but at least change something in the message. Usually the name is what I change. And I've got a pretty simple message. I'm going to paraphrase it, because if I gave it all to you, I'd end up in Facebook jail, and all of you guys would too. Okay? It's very simple. Something like, hey, and I do this with people who I haven't talked to in a while. How many of you have some Facebook friends you've never talked to? We all do. How many of you have some friends that you've never talked to in like forever, in a long time? Right. So those are good ones. They're friends of yours on Facebook, but you knew them from something, somewhere, whatever. And it's easy to just reach out to them, and it's kind of like, hey, I know this is kind of random. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. I've just aligned myself with this incredible CBD company. Got an automated system that's working like gangbusters. People are making like, 4-figure checks every week. Wondering if you might be open to taking a look. That's something that, could maybe make you some extra income. If not, no big deal. No hard feelings, right? Is that a simple kind of approach? And I just paraphrased. It's a little bit better crafted than that, and you guys will come up with your own. But what you think happens when I send out that message a dozen times in a day to a dozen random friends of mine on Facebook? How many people have more than 1,000 people on Facebook? Raise your hand. Look around. How many of you have only 500 or more? Okay, how many have over 2,000? Okay, how many of you have a cell phone with names in it for over a decade? Okay, so those of you that don't have Facebook accounts, no excuses, they're in here. Okay, am I right? So can you send out private messages for, a dozen at a time for every day for the next 2-3 weeks? If you take a brand new person and you teach them this, do they have to be good on the phone? Who's good at the phone? Who thinks they're really good on the phone? Look around. Nobody wants to be good on the phone. We can go back a decade or so and say, okay, go make a list, and then we got to call everybody on the list. Right? Who wants to go back to those days? Look at around the room as far as how many people like being on the phone. Those were the people that didn't make the list back then, and they're not going to do it now. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. So you don't need to make a list. It already exists. But you got to reach out. And if you did that to, let's say, a dozen people a day for the next 3 weeks, how many people will you have approached? Hundreds of people. Can you imagine a brand new person just getting started, and all of a sudden they approach hundreds of people with their thumbs? They didn't have to pick up the phone. How long does it take to send out 15 messages? 15 minutes? Who doesn't have 15 minutes? If you had to, you could do it from your phone, from the throne. No one's going to bother you in there. Get it done, right? Am I right? She knows. Nicole knows. So look, and it's happened. I do it there. So, but here's the point. The point is that you've taken a person who's never done network marketing. They don't like being on the phone. They're not going to make a list. But you give them a good message to send out, and they'll do that 12, 15 times a day for 2, 3, 4 weeks. If you approach hundreds of people with a message like that, what's the response going to be? What's the response? Favorable, right? Most likely favorable. Most likely like, well, you know what? I've not tried the CBD yet, but I've been looking at it. I've been looking for a good one. Or, I've tried CBD. I love CBD. Maybe I'd like to try yours. You're going to get responses like that. And isn't that a lot better than what most people do when they get started? They disappear. They join the CTFO Witness Protection Program. Oh, you're familiar with this? Okay, good. You got to give them something that they can do that's going to be easy for them to do, that's not going to have them, feel like, oh boy, this is going to be hard to do. We don't want to do that. So anyway, that's what I do. And the number one thing that I do to correct my mindset, and this is important, is that if I notice that some negativity is creeping in, because guys, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm tired. I got to do this all the same way, right? I got to keep reaching out. So I have to get into activity. That's the number one thing that I need to do is get back into activity, reach out to another dozen people. I'm sitting on the couch one night after dinner. The TV's on. I'm like, oh, I didn't send out my messages today. I pull up my phone, sitting on the couch. Copy, paste, change the name, paste. William Carolyn, where's William? He's in the room here. Oh, there he is. Stand up, William. Stand up right there. William responds, yeah, sounds good. Send me the info, right? When was the last time we talked, William? 28 years ago. 28 years ago. We're friends on Facebook. Hadn't talked to him in 28 years. He's here. He's got a group. He's going to go full-time in CTFO. I was reclined on the couch after dinner, and I hadn't sent out my messages yet. A few other people signed up, by the way, that night. He's the one that stuck. Is this hard to do? What stops you from doing this? It's the 6 inches between your ears. That's what stops you. Here's the difference. Here's what leaders do. They make one more call. They do one more follow-up. One more new connection until something positive happens. And then they do one more. Because now they're in momentum. They got something good that happens, and they do one more. Whereas other people who don't make it, they just kind of, they quit after it doesn't work out the first, second, third time, whatever. They go, oh, this doesn't work. They're not patient. Most people do just enough in our business to be completely miserable. Anybody relate to that statement? They're excited. Love Stu. Love Mike. Love Steve Figger. He's awesome on those calls. Oh, I love these products. They're great. They don't do anything. Love the company. They just don't do enough to get it into altitude, to get it over the tree line. You've got to put enough in consistently to get it over the tree line so that your business has some altitude, has some income coming in. I tell people this is a business of, it's really a personal quest. That first must be one in your mind. It's a personal quest. You can figure out all this other stuff. I brought in 130 people. Not all of them bought product. Not all of them still buy product. But enough of them are engaged and buying product that I've got almost a six-figure income after 10 months, plus a few years earlier with a few people, right? So control your emotional weather. Leaders feel the feeling and do it anyway. You're going to have a lot of people out there that say they're going to tear it up, they're going to be excited, and then again, they're going to join that witness protection program. And if you get fired up and then crash and you do this with your emotions, you won't make it. Leaders feel the feeling and do it anyway. I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to make that one more call. They said they were going to do it. I'm not going to get disappointed. How many people were supposed to have folks here last night at the opportunity meeting? They didn't show up, right? I did. I had people who were supposed to be here that didn't show up. It's not the end of the world. I'll get them next time. I'll call them on Monday. Right? Not a big deal. Lastly, you've heard several times from the front of the room that this business is a 3 to 5 year plan. I agree with that. But in the CBD space, it's a sprint, not a marathon. Because here's what I know. Everybody that you know and everybody that I know is going to buy a CBD product either this year or next. Anybody disagree with that? If you don't reach out to them, they will get it from somewhere else. And then you're going to reach them and they go, oh yeah, I already fell in love with this, Charlotte's Web or whatever, or the one at the gas station or who knows what, right? And then you got to bring them over to here and sell them on wires is better, right? Or you could have just gotten to them first. Last night, I was done doing all these great graphics and stuff, and I had a whole maybe day to build for the event, right? And I said, okay, who am I going to text? I started looking at my Facebook chat. I go, oh, here's a guy I haven't talked to in a while. I click on the Facebook chat, and I see what the conversation was. Isn't that great about Facebook? You can have an entire archive of everything you've ever talked about with anybody. We'll go back. Oh, his wife died a year ago. His sister died. This is the last conversation I had with him a year ago, over a year ago. I said, Alan, how's it going? How are you feeling? How are things? Just kind of checking in with him. Right? He said, oh yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm getting through life. Getting back to normal a little bit. I said, that's great. I said, have you ever, he said something about some health issue. I said, have you ever tried CBD? By the way, if you want to send out the absolute worst message, and it'll still work, worst crafted message, 12 people a day for the next 3 weeks, CBD ? You'll still win. Am I right? That's how big CBD is. Anyway, so Alan says, yeah, you know what? I've tried CBD. I like CBD. But he does one of these, and I'm like, oh, that's great, fantastic. Well, we're giving away a free online wholesale CBD dispensary, over 70 top quality products at wholesale. You might want to check this out. And he said, sure, send the info. So I shot him over a link or two, right? My link to my homepage. I sent over a link of Dr. Robin Sika talking about 10X Pure, because if he's already tried another one, we got to show him why ours is better. So I got to give him some information on that. Next thing I know it, Facebook rings. People can call you on Facebook now, right? It's not that new of a thing, but nobody uses it until they do, and you're like, oh, my computer's ringing. What do I press? All right? Alan, what's going on? Yeah. Hey, Adam, how you doing? Hey, listen, good to hear from you. He says, yeah, he tells me the story. He says, yeah, I'd really like to, that sounds like something I really want to try out. I said, great. I said, he asked me if my friend Faye, who's how I knew him, is involved in the business. I said, matter of fact, Faye is in the business. Yeah, she is. She loves the CBD. He goes, great, I'm getting my haircut by her tomorrow. I said, great, let me just send you her link. So I sent her link. He got a haircut the next day, signed up, joined the business. Sharp guy, been in direct sales. Had a little tough time over the last year or so with all these people dying. But he said, this is what he said to me, I've been looking for a good quality CBD product for like a while now. That was what the conversation was. I'm glad I had an extra hour or two to build for the event. When I might have missed him, right? I mean, isn't that what it is? I mean, they're out there waiting to hear from you, and here's what they want. They want to talk to somebody who has, that they trust, they know, that's done the homework, that's getting the results already. Isn't that what we do in direct sales and network marketing? That's what we do. We reach out one-on-one to people. So I love the post, guys, but if you just taught your folks a dozen a day for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be huge. Never compare yourself to others. You're only in competition to your yesterday's self. How true is that? Right? I mean, can't compare yourself to, Stu Finger. I mean, he started the company. I'm probably not going to catch him. I'll try. But, I can't get bummed out because he started the thing before I showed up. I can't get bummed out because, I took 2 years off. Thank you for paying me for 2 years, by the way. I know you didn't do it personally for me. You do it for everybody. That's just a comp plan. But, it's just brilliant. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I just want to, thank Mike for, being persistent in, sharing this opportunity and letting me know and really leading by example, because if it wasn't for people like Mike Swilling to make this happen, right? To make this company happen with Stu and with Steve and with Michael Kahn, we wouldn't all have this kind of an opportunity. And I got to tell you, behind the scenes, what these guys are doing, they are providing the absolute best opportunity in the CBD space, bar none. And you guys are at the very, very beginning of it. So take full advantage of it. Carve out some time of your busy life so you don't miss out on this $22 billion industry. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.